No Titan has a reputation quite the same as Tone. She was once by far the most played and arguably the most powerful, but over time the game has changed, and she definitely no longer holds that mantle. This is Ascendance from 4FS Gaming, and today I will be talking to you about how Tone is positioned at the moment, what has affected her, and some tactics about using her in the current metagame. Now originally I was going to make this a video on how to use Tone when going head to head with a Ronin, but I think we may need to broaden the scope just a little bit. I also realised that there may be just a bit too much Ronin focus on this channel, and if you like Ronin, please go back and check out our past videos. So what happened to Tone that dethroned her from the pinnacle of the meta? Well, there have been only a few changes made to Tone by Respawn themselves. Firstly, they reduced the damage of her salvo core, and also made it so that you could no longer charge your core through damage dealt while using your last core. This did have a pretty big effect, but it was warranted, because Tone's core was really too strong at launch. Then they reduced the projectile size of her 40mm cannon shots. This reduced the probability of locking onto multiple targets simultaneously with the tracker cannon, but it also made it more difficult just to hit targets, especially pilots, when they were jumping around because of that smaller shot. Then there was Tone's particle wall glitch, which means that hit scan weapons, such as the Predator cannon or Monarch's chain gun, will deal extreme damage to the particle wall if Tone is behind it. This also makes her weaker than she should be. Now a quick note about this glitch: Respawn did say in a post on Reddit that they have confirmed it is a glitch and that they are working to fix it, so we can reasonably expect that this will be patched with the next balance update. So with all of these factors combined, I still don't think it's enough to hurt Tone that much, but I believe that there is another explanation for why we are seeing a lot less of her in the game. Now this ultimately comes down to her damage cycle. Tone gets most of her value out of landing rocket salvos after acquiring a target lock. Now unfortunately, your opponent gets a warning when a lock is acquired, and the salvo travels slowly through the air, and it's very easy to see coming. Because of this, as players have become more experienced, they have learned to defend against this ability with great proficiency. Almost all Titans have a defensive or evasive ability that can be used to counteract the rocket salvo, and because Tone was so commonly used and seen to be an issue, we as a community have become very skilled and knowledgeable about how to counter Tone and the rocket salvo. So how do we use Tone in a world where everyone knows her weaknesses and how to exploit them? Let's start by looking at the Ronin matchup that was the original focus of this video. So why is Ronin strong against Tone? Well, firstly, his arc wave will instantly destroy Tone's particle wall, and it will also go through it to strike the Tone standing behind that particle wall. When Ronin uses his phase dash, all target locks will be wiped clean, and he can also use this to dodge a missile salvo. Then there is Sword Block, which is excellent at negating bursts of damage, such as what we can see with Tone's rockets. Ronin has a natural movement advantage that makes it easy for him to use cover to avoid the predictable missiles as well. So how do we go about countering all of this? Firstly, it is critical that you are able to maintain distance. Even with all of these abilities, Ronin will struggle to cross a large open area unscathed. So as always, positioning is key. Using smoke is great to help in this endeavour, as it can zone out areas and help you get away to set up again. You can also drop the particle wall to try and draw out the arc wave, and then dodge to the side. This is a good way to cause Ronin to waste this ability, and your wall is not very useful against Ronin in other ways anyway. Now because phase dash counters missile locks, try to draw it out early on so you can start forcing the Ronin to turtle up with sword block every time you fire your missiles. This will give you further opportunity to create space and adjust your position. Finally, you should wait until the Ronin comes out of phase dash before you launch your salvo core. Actually, this can be a pretty good opportunity to launch the rockets up into the air and strike just as the Ronin exits his phase dash. You will likely get a lot of damage out before they begin to sword block. So what about Ion? She is actually one of the strongest Titans at the moment and can easily catch missiles with her Vortex shield. My advice here would be to hold on to those missiles and just keep shooting with the cannon. If you land crits, the damage actually stacks up pretty fast, and once you force the Ion to start catching these shots, you have the advantage. Try and guess the energy levels of the Ion as well. Use the particle wall to intercept laser shots where possible, and unload missiles after the laser shot goes off, because then you know the ion is starting to run low on energy. Also, when you see that giant red laser come out, you need to get to cover straight away. Also consider using smoke against that, because the ion won't be able to track you through it, they'll just have to kind of guess. Now, if we have a look at Monarch, this should actually be, in theory, a pretty fair matchup. Actually, Tone I think should have a small advantage, because she doesn't actually need line of sight to deal damage with her rockets. And Monarch has no defensive abilities that can counter these incoming missiles, other than merely dashing for cover. Now unfortunately, due to the hit scan particle wall glitch, Monarch can very quickly strip Tone's defenses. If you remember this and stick to other sources of cover instead of just the particle wall, you should be fine if you carefully curve those rockets around the terrain. Now Northstar is another interesting one. She really has no defenses against Tone's missiles other than her mobility as well. Catching a Northstar unawares is really valuable, because you can often doom them, or almost doom them, before they even know what's going on. Just avoid long laneway engagements, unless you have the particle wall up, which can also absorb a decent amount of railgun damage. Now I don't really expect those heavier titans to be too much trouble for Monarch. Even though the Predator cannon can exploit the particle wall glitch, you should be able to abuse the large chassis size to get locks very easily, and bend missiles around cover, while remaining relatively safe. Remember that the particle wall stops firewall and thermite in its tracks, but gas canisters can still be ignited if they land next to the wall. The two rules I have about these heavier titans is simply keep your distance from a Scorch, and never get caught in the open against Legion. If you can manage that, you should come out on top almost all of the time. So is Tone good, or is she bad? Well, honestly, she's a mid-tier Titan now, in my opinion. When running with teammates, she can still provide some really high mid-range damage with great consistency. If an opponent is distracted, they can't predict and avoid your missiles, so Tone will shred them faster than most other Titans. Also, despite that nerf to the 40mm cannon shell size, the Tone is a beast at taking out pilots, farming bots, and also supporting teammates with that sonar pulse. My verdict here is still don't underestimate her, but I don't think we have to hate on her either. This Titan does not deserve that in the way that she used to. If you want to find out more about Tone, I'll link our advanced guide which looks at stats, abilities and damage numbers at the end of this video. Now another announcement is that we are also streaming along a lot more regularly on both YouTube and Twitch. We stream on Twitch every Sunday, Tuesday at 8 PM AEST, and right here on YouTube every Thursday at 8 PM AEST. We're definitely open for you guys to suggest games and things that you want to see us do on stream, including challenges or anything you can come up with really. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like this video, give your opinion in the comments, or subscribe for more from 4FS Gaming.